want to see if I can get this on video. So this is the section we cut out, and my welder wanted me to do a test fit before we commit to actually welding this thing together. So my steering shaft was hitting hard there. I've got the bracket actually bolted in where I should, not actually bolted in, but in place where it should be. So we're in good shape there. And the piece held in there where it's supposed to on the flange or near the flange. I still have about a 1/4 inch or so of clearance, so we're in good shape there. Much better than we were, because we couldn't even get the steering shaft in place at all before. So I'm much happier with where we're at with it. So we can go ahead and give the green light and get it welded now. So there we go. The header is back from getting welded, so let's take a peek at it and see how it turned out. So what we ended up doing here, let me figure out where I want to set this thing down at. But, what we ended up doing was moving that, we cut about a little over a 1/2 inch sleeve out of this section, and then made another cut here, scooted this pipe and moved it down and tighter to the head, and then whenever we moved it this direction, we ended up putting that sleeve back in here. So I was able to modify the existing header without adding any new material. Didn't have to buy any new pieces, just had to kind of massage it a little bit. So we're in pretty good shape now. Welds are looking good, as I would expect out of my welder friend. And we were able to do it without disturbing the Kooks nameplate, so that's cool. And we'll get to installing this side, and I do have just a little bit of massaging more to do. Sorry, that almost fell. I do have just a little bit more massaging to do on the passenger side, so I've got a new tool, or borrowed new tool here at the house for that. So we'll check that out after we get this side installed. Stay tuned. Real quick, I was going to show you how the hardware works. So the locking hardware for the header. So this guy, it's like basically like a little wrench, and see there's a 12-point open end inside there. There you go. And basically what happens is you put that over the head of the bolt, and then it locks the teeth lock onto the bolt, and if you put it up against something on the counterclockwise direction, it'll keep that from being allowed to rotate around. So you have to set it up right. So if you put it like, God, this is hard. If you set it up with a big gap, it'll still rotate until it runs into something. So you have that, and then you have the little keeper, aka the Jesus clips, and those just slide over the top of the bolt head once you put the clip on. And they're called Jesus clips because if you happen to drop one, only Jesus knows where it went. So I'm going to show you real quick what that looks like in the car. So you can see I've got the long part towards the counterclockwise direction, and then I have my little clippy installed. And they're really fun to install on the bottom ones where you have like no line of sight, no access to them, you know, down in there. Those are really cool. So I got one more to do. I figured I'd show you real quick before I get all the way done with it. So there you go. That's how the locking hardware works. Well, the driver's side header is wrapped up. I got my steering shaft put back in, got my bracket hard mounted. Ended up turning into a more difficult job to get that bolt started on the back side, because there's a lot more material here than I anticipated being. So it's a little tight there, but I did get it installed, so that's good. So we're going to show you the next step here is what's called a quarter power, or in this case it's a generic name brand, or not a name brand one, but basically it's a hydraulic jack with a hose, and then there's lots of different fittings, and this is like the bigger one here. So basically it allows you to put hydraulic pressure on and spread something apart. In this case, I'm going to use the smallest attachment they have, which is just kind of like a spreader, and kind of sort of like, I guess, like the miniature version of like the Jaws of Life that the firefighters use. But I'll show you when we get over the other side, but basically I need to try to move the whole exhaust over and bend it a little bit. So we're going to see if we can't do it with this without breaking anything else. So the game plan here is on the bottom of the header down this direction underneath the truck. I need to push that towards the middle. So I can't just push it because it'll just push the whole engine and twist all the mounts and everything. So I've got some ratchet straps mounted to the frame, and I'm going to hold tight this direction and give me something to pivot off of, or at least this is my intention. We'll see if this actually works or not. But basically, if I have a hard mount here, when I start pushing, it'll want to pivot around the ratchet straps. That's the goal. So I'm really tight in here still. I did a lot of hammering and flattening on the tubes here, and then by the time I got the transmission crossmember installed and everything settled in place, I'm even tighter than I originally thought I was. And so we're gonna see if we can't do some tweaking and get it over and get that problem fixed. So real quick, this is the bottom side. So you can see we're really tight in here. So much so that it's basically hard mounted on the frame as is. So what I'm going to try to do here is put the spreader right in here between the frame and the big meaty area of the header, and I'm going to try to push towards the middle and see if we can't get some bending action out of the whole assembly. Now that we're bending metal, I kind of want to go past where I need it to be, because right now it's under tension and it'll want to relax backwards. So I'm going to release pressure here, see where we end up. Ooh, we actually got some movement, pretty good movement there. Oh man. Excellent. Turn the lights on in here. So the bad news is my I tried to use that hydraulic ram, and I was able to move the exhaust, but then once I released pressure, it just went right back to where it was. And I've also figured out where my fitment issues came from. So when I did my initial test fitting on the passenger side, I had pulled the transmission crossmember out to get the Y pipe out of the truck, and I set the crossmember back in there. Well, what I didn't realize was the transmission mount. There's two studs coming down off of the transmission mount. They were sitting on top of the transmission crossmember and not in the transmission crossmember. So the transmission was about, give or take, about an inch, maybe inch and a half too high, which then meant that the driveline was sitting higher, which then meant I had more fitment area between the header and the frame rail. So I did a bunch of hammering and clearancing on the passenger side and thought I was good. And then so that's why I was using that ram, was to try to get to a position where I could get it bent, but it's not working. And I'm gonna have to pull the passenger side back out, which I didn't want to have to do. So I'm regretting my life decisions that led me to this point, but we'll get through it together, and I will get back on it and start pulling the clips and hardware out of the passenger side, and then it hopefully won't take too long. I'll say that. It's 7:10 right now, so we'll see how long this goes. But anyways, just want to give you an update on it. Okay, 3 minutes later, update. Having dinner now, Cliff Bar, and I got a glass of whiskey over here because, you know, gotta drown my sorrows in pulling my header back out. So grab a quick bite and then we'll get to work. Well, that wasn't quite as bad as I remembered it being. One of the things that did help was I found my 7/16 inch gear wrench ratcheting flex head wrench. So that's definitely a lifesaver here. Before I was using my manual Craftsman wrench. So I was doing like one turn and then remove, turn, put back on, turn, remove, and doing that before. So the gear wrench definitely helps speed up that process in this case. I need to unplug my O2 sensor real quick, and then we'll get this thing off and start hitting it with the hammer.
More licensed workers in Gary's roofing business, not even a ceiling.
And your contract just finished up. We are gonna need all hands on deck to make this happen.
Hey Gary, put me on another job there.
It's time to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates.
So I'm hammering over here on my rubber doormat in effort to make my wife happier, because last time I was doing the hammering, I had kind of chipped up the floor a little bit in a couple spots, and she saw that and was like, what happened? I'm not worried about it. It is what it is. It's a concrete floor in the garage. Like, I really don't care. But anyways, did round 2 of hammering since I've removed it this evening, and we're now at 7:53. So we'll get it reinstalled and see how we're looking now. Probably should have worn some earplugs because my ears are ringing now after hammering on this dude for a little while. Hopefully this will be the last test fit. We'll see how it goes, but I'm feeling pretty good about it. This last go around, it was fitting pretty nicely with the exception of a couple little strategic areas. So it did occur to me, it was kind of funny that recall when when they arrived, inspected the box for damage and inspected the box for or once I removed the parts, I remember looking at them, make sure they weren't dented at all, and here I am hammering the ever-living crap out of them. So it's just kind of, in hindsight, it's kind of one of those ironic things. But anyways, wish me luck. We'll get to hopefully the last test fit in and get this thing wrapped up tonight. What's up, guys? I think I've got it done. So went in and out several times and got it hammered and fit, and I think I'm happy with clearances. We'll see once we actually go drive it. Hopefully we're in good shape. I gave up last night after I dropped one of my circlips and couldn't find it, and so I brought home a long air nozzle from work and used compressed air to blow it out of wherever it fell into. The engine mounts on this thing, the shape of the block, the subframe side has this kind of a soap dish shape to it, and it likes to hold on stuff. And of course there's an engine mount sitting inside the soap dish, and you can't really get anywhere, a finger or tools in there to get it. And The circlips are stainless, so maybe they're aluminum, I don't know, but they're non-magnetic, so no luck with fishing a magnet in there either. So I got it out. Of course, dropped a couple more, got a couple more out, but I got all the locking hardware put back on the passenger side, so I will get the wheels and tires put back on and get the truck back down on the ground and go make some loud noises and get the exhaust welded up, hopefully this weekend. So, stay tuned for the exhaust and the running videos will be next. And appreciate you guys checking out another one of my videos. If you have any comments, please feel free to leave them. I do check them, I do read them, I try to respond in most cases, and catch y'all on the next one. Thanks.